The wedding invitation arrived 3 weeks before the event. Not in the mail but via text message. Amanda's getting married June 8th. Ceremony at 4 o'clock. You can come if you want but keep it low-key. Don't dress too fancy or anything. I stared at the message from my mother while sitting in my office on the 42nd floor of the Riverside Tower. Outside, the city sprawled beneath me. A city whose economic development I'd helped shape for the past 8 years. I'm Dr. Maya Chin, 36. And according to my family, I was the disappointing daughter. The one who'd chosen government work over private sector success. My sister Amanda, 32, had married into the Whitmore family. Old money, country clubs, society pages. Meanwhile, I'd built a career in economic policy. My family thought I pushed papers in a basement office somewhere. They had no idea I was the governor's chief economic advisor, commanding a staff of 200 economists and analysts, shaping policy that affected 12 million people and $1 trillion state economy. 2 weeks before the wedding, my mother called. Maya, about Amanda's wedding, we need to discuss something sensitive. What is it? I asked. The Whitmores are very particular about appearances. Governor Richardson will be attending, he's a family friend. Several state senators and business leaders too. Amanda's worried you might not fit in. Fit in how? Well, you work for the state. You live in that small apartment downtown. You drive a 10-year-old Prius. She paused. We just can't have you embarrassing us in front of the governor. The irony was so sharp I almost laughed. I see. It's nothing personal, dear. Amanda just wants everything perfect. Maybe you could sit toward the back. Don't draw attention. Mom, I work with. I know you work very hard at your government job. We're proud. But this is Amanda's day. She's marrying Trevor Whitmore. His family owns half the state's commercial real estate. They expect a certain caliber of guests. You understand? Just blend in. Don't mention your work. It's not impressive to these people. And please wear something simple. Not that gray suit you always wear. She hung up before I could respond. I sat in my office. The one with original artwork on the walls, a mahogany desk and a view of the Capitol building 3 blocks away, and made a decision. I'd attend. I'd stay quiet. And I'd let whatever happened, happen. The governor had been asking me to meet the Whitmores anyway. Their development projects needed economic impact reviews, and they'd been dodging my office for months. Perhaps Amanda's wedding would be the perfect opportunity. June 8th arrived warm and clear. I drove my Prius to the Grandview Country Club, a venue I'd actually approved tax incentives for during its renovation 2 years earlier. My signature was literally on the development permits. I wore a simple navy dress, minimal jewelry, and arrived exactly at ceremony time. No early mingling. The chapel was packed. 400 guests in designer clothes and expensive watches. I found a seat in the second-to-last row between an elderly couple I didn't recognize. Amanda looked beautiful in her Vera Wang gown. Trevor seemed genuinely happy. My parents sat in the front row with the Whitmores. Trevor's father, Richard, a real estate magnate, and his mother, Patricia, who chaired every society board in the city. 3 rows ahead, I spotted Governor Richardson with his wife. He'd come straight from a morning of budget meetings. The same meeting where I'd presented our quarterly economic forecast. The ceremony was lovely. I stayed quiet, drew no attention. Exactly as requested. At the reception I found my assigned seat. Table 38 near the kitchen, far from the important guests. The place card read simply, Maya. No last name. No title. I sat alone at a table for 10. The other 9 seats were empty. Apparently, I wasn't even worth assigning table partners. A server approached, hesitant. Ma'am, I think there's been a mistake. This table was supposed to be for overflow, but we didn't need it. Would you like me to find you another seat? I'm fine here, thank you. But you're all alone. I prefer it. I watched the reception unfold from my isolated corner. Amanda and Trevor's first dance, toast after toast from Trevor's Harvard friends and business associates. My parents mingling with the Whitmores, laughing too loudly, trying too hard to fit in. Then my phone buzzed. A text from the governor's chief of staff. Governor Richardson just asked me why you weren't at the Whitmore wedding. I told him you were. He says he doesn't see you. Where are you sitting? I typed back. Table 38 near the kitchen. Family seating arrangements. You're kidding. Nope. 3 dots appeared. then disappeared. Governor is not pleased. Stand by. I watched as the chief of staff approached Governor Richardson at table 1, the head table with the wedding party. He whispered something in the governor's ear. The governor's head snapped up. He scanned the room, then spotted me in the back corner. His expression darkened. He stood abruptly and walked directly toward my table, his security detail following. 400 guests noticed the movement. Conversations died. "Dr. Chin," he said loudly as he reached my table. "What on earth are you doing back here?" Every head in the room turned. "Hello, Governor. Enjoying the wedding?" I was, until I discovered my chief economic advisor was seated by the kitchen like waitstaff. He turned to face the room, his voice carrying. "For those who don't know, Dr. Maya Chin is the reason our state has the strongest economy in the region. She's the architect of our jobs initiative that brought in $40 billion in new investment. She advises me daily on every major economic decision affecting 12 million people." The room had gone completely silent. My mother's face drained of color. Amanda froze mid-conversation with a bridesmaid. Governor Richardson wasn't finished. "Dr. Chin holds a PhD in economics from MIT. She's published in the American Economic Review. She was named one of the nation's top policy minds by The Economist. And she's seated at table 38. Alone." He gestured to his security detail. "Get Dr. Chin's things. She's sitting at my table." "Governor, that's not necessary." "It absolutely is." He offered his arm. "Shall we?" As I stood, Richard Whitmore rushed over, face red. "Governor Richardson, there must be some confusion. Maya is the bride's sister." "I know exactly who she is, Richard." "Do you?" "Because I've been trying to get a meeting with your company for months about your development projects. Dr. Chin has been handling your file personally. Every permit, every tax incentive, every regulatory approval for your projects crosses her desk." Richard's expression shifted from confusion to dawning horror. "Your Riverside Tower project?" the governor continued. "Dr. Chin approved the economic impact review that allowed it to proceed. Your tax abatement for the waterfront development? Her recommendation. The infrastructure funding for your Gateway project? Her analysis convinced the legislature to approve it." He looked at Amanda, then at my parents. "And you seated her by the kitchen." Patricia Whitmore stepped forward, her society composure cracking. "We had no idea Maya was. We thought she was just a state employee." "She is a state employee," the governor said evenly. "The most important one I have. My cabinet-level chief economic advisor. She shapes policy affecting billions of dollars and millions of jobs. And your family has been dodging meetings with her office for 6 months." Trevor appeared beside Amanda, whispering urgently. She'd gone from blushing bride to pale ghost. The governor guided me to table 1, displacing a groomsman who scrambled to find another seat. I sat between Governor Richardson and Senator Patricia Morrison, a colleague I'd worked with on 3 major bills. "Hi, Senator," I said calmly, settling into my seat. She smiled faintly. "You certainly know how to make an entrance, Dr. Chin." Warmly. "I didn't know you were related to the bride," Senator Morrison said, smiling. "I've been meaning to thank you for your analysis on the infrastructure bill. Your economic modeling was brilliant." "Thank you, Senator." Around the table I was surrounded by people I worked with regularly. The lieutenant governor, the state treasurer, 2 senators, a congressman, my colleagues, my professional circle. They'd all been seated at the head table while I'd been hidden by the kitchen. From table 38 I watched my family's faces. My mother looked ill. My father had turned away, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Amanda was crying, her perfect wedding derailed. Richard Whitmore approached our table, his wife beside him. "Governor, Dr. Chin, we owe you an apology," he began. The governor cut in smoothly. "We had no idea that she was important, or that she was competent." "Which part didn't you know exactly?" Richard stammered. "We knew Maya worked in government, but you assumed government work was meaningless," the governor said sharply. "That policy was beneath business. That shaping an entire state's economic future was less impressive than developing real estate." Patricia touched her husband's arm, stopping him from digging deeper. Richard turned to me instead. "Dr. Chin, the Whitmore Group has been trying to schedule time with the governor's economic team. We weren't aware you led that team. My office has sent 14 meeting requests, I said calmly. You declined them all. We were trying to go through other channels. You were trying to bypass the proper review process. It doesn't work that way. I smiled pleasantly. But perhaps we can discuss your pending projects on Monday. My office, 9 a.m. I believe you know where the Riverside Tower is. 42nd floor. Richard's face went from red to purple. You're in the Riverside Tower? I work there. My office overlooks the Capitol. We approved your building permits, remember? The governor stood to give a toast. His speech began with praise for the happy couple, the joy of family, then pivoted. I also want to acknowledge someone special here tonight. Dr. Maya Chin, my chief economic advisor, who happens to be the bride's sister. Maya's work has transformed our state's economy. She's brilliant, dedicated, and absolutely essential to everything we've accomplished. I'm honored to work with her, and this family should be extraordinarily proud. He raised his glass toward me. 400 guests followed suit, applauding. All of them looking at me, the woman who'd been hidden at table 38. Amanda's perfect moment had been eclipsed by her sister's revelation. After dinner, people lined up to talk to me. Business leaders requesting meetings, legislators discussing upcoming bills, journalists asking for quotes about economic policy. My parents tried to approach, but Governor Richardson's security detail politely suggested they wait. An hour later, my mother finally reached me near the bar. Maya, we didn't know. If you'd known I was the governor's advisor, you would have what? I asked. Seated me at a better table? Introduced me proudly. Mom, I've been in this position for 8 years. You never asked what I actually do. You said you worked for the state. You thought it was meaningless. Less important than Amanda marrying money. My father joined us, his voice low. The Whitmores are asking questions about your position, your authority over their projects. Maya, you have to understand. I understand perfectly, Dad. You were embarrassed by my government salary and my old car. You didn't bother to learn that I shape economic policy for the entire state. That I hold a cabinet-level position. That I earn more than most of Amanda's society friends. Amanda appeared then, mascara-streaked, eyes red. You ruined my wedding, she said. I sat quietly where you told me to sit. The governor found me there. You could have said something. You let us think you were nobody. I tried to tell Mom 2 weeks ago, I said evenly. You wanted me to blend in and not embarrass you. I did exactly that. Everyone's talking about you instead of my wedding, she cried. No, I said softly. Everyone's talking about why the bride's sister was seated by the kitchen while strangers sat at the head table. That's your choice, Amanda. Not mine. Trevor pulled her away, whispering urgently. Damage control had begun. I said goodbye to the governor and my colleagues, thanked them for making the evening bearable, and walked to my Prius. My phone exploded with messages over the next week. Richard Whitmore's assistant requesting that Monday meeting. Amanda's friends asking about job opportunities. My mother calling 17 times. I ignored them all. The Monday meeting with the Whitmores went forward. Richard and Patricia sat across from me in my office. The one with the view, the mahogany desk, and the walls lined with framed economic policy achievements. Dr. Chin, Richard began stiffly, we need to discuss our pending projects. We do, I said. Your applications have been incomplete. Missing environmental impact data, economic projections, workforce analysis. The checklist was included in all 14 meeting requests you ignored. We weren't aware of the requirements, he muttered. Everyone is aware of the requirements. You chose to bypass them. That's not how my office works. Patricia leaned forward. About the wedding, we're deeply sorry. We had no idea who you were. You knew I was the bride's sister, I said simply. That should have been enough. We spent 2 hours reviewing their projects. Professional, cordial, but with clear boundaries. They'd follow the process like everyone else, or their developments would stall. No special treatment for family. That evening Amanda called. Maya, please, can we talk? About what? About everything. I was horrible to you. Mom says you won't return anyone's calls. I've been busy. The state economic forecast is due next week. The Whitmores are talking about postponing projects because of regulatory complications. Trevor says his parents are furious. About the wedding, about how it looked, about you being seated by the kitchen. Then they should have seated me better. I know. I know that now. Can you fix this? With the governor? With the projects? Amanda, the projects will be reviewed based on merit, compliance, and economic impact. Like every other project, your wedding seating doesn't change that. But nothing. You made choices. Choices have consequences. Welcome to the real world. I hung up. A year later, I was promoted to Director of Economic Development, the most powerful economic policy position in the state. My photo appeared on the cover of State Politics magazine. The advisor who reshaped everything. My family wasn't mentioned in the article. Because some tables reveal exactly what people value, and some weddings show you who your real family is. The governor and my colleagues had fought for my seat at their table. My blood family had hidden me by the kitchen. I knew which table mattered. And it wasn't table 38.